What's up, hybrids? Welcome back to another episode of the Phantom Hybrid Podcast. This is Hanako, and I'm here with Anthony, and we are here to discuss season two, episode two of The Last of Us.
Where's my box of tissues when I need them?
So, are we gonna look? Are we gonna save that to the last? Or are we gonna go on ahead and rip the band-aid off?
We should just rip the band-aid off.
I can't believe they didn't even give us half a season before they dropped the Abby killing Joel bomb.
Well, I don't know. I think maybe they're like most people watching the show probably know. So there's no reason to just beat around the bush, because the same people will complain, why don't y'all just get it over with instead of leading up to it? Um,
Because those of us who didn't play the game, we needed to, even though some of us knew what was happening, we needed time to wrap our mind around it. And I just don't feel like they gave us enough time.
yeah, well, what I thought they were gonna do, like I really didn't think they were gonna kill him in the second episode. Because in the game, Abby is a playable character.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, well, maybe they will start like the episode one and the episode two will just start with Abby's character and we'll follow her journey
Right.
up until, at least towards the end of the season, we get her coming to Jackson. And then we would have last night's episode. I thought that's what they were gonna do,
Mm-hmm.
to kind of build up Abby's character for us, but
Well, I think what they ended up doing is they went on ahead and got that part over with. So now I think the way that they've done things in the past, we'll probably go back and see a little bit more of like flashbacks of her character, probably while she's training in Seattle. But I think they went on ahead and did that so we could also see Ellie's journey because Ellie is about to kill a bitch. Do you un-
yeah,
do
yeah,
you
you see.
do you
You,
understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
you
Ellie
see
is
my
about.
name.
Oh, I didn't even change my name. I was just Ellie is about to kill
Oh,
a bitch.
they have awoken the Kraken.
Man,
Yeah.
I asked Mike, my son, earlier today because I couldn't remember if he played the game before. And I said, "Do you play The Last of Us?" And he just looked at me. He said, "We had this conversation during season one." I said, "I can't remember. That was so long ago." So he was like, "Yeah." He was like, asking me if I play that is like asking me if I play Red Dead. Uh, what is it?
Red Dead
Dead
Redemption.
Redemption. Yes. So I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "So this episode I'm watching because I paused the episode my second watch through to take run him to the store real quick." I said, "This was that episode." He said, "Oh yeah, no, y'all can have that bullshit." He was like, "I had to play through that shit. I'm not. No, I don't need to see it." I
Yeah.
was when I say I was watching this, and as the events of the episode are unfolding, I'm kind of sort of sitting in my head like, they're not going to do this yet because I really thought the way they were going to do this character, especially after Joel saved her, I thought there might be a little bit of conflict there, like a little bit of, oh, well, he did save my life. And then I thought, okay, well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back with him to Jackson. We're gonna help out with whatever, and then we're gonna kill him. Like we're gonna let him, have him let us in. And I thought it was gonna be one of those elaborate schemes. But I will say this for Abby: she's single minded. She was like, no, fuck that shit. I'm not about to kiss up to him. This man killed my dad. I'm about to kill him. So I give her respect for that. But I wasn't expecting it to get to that climax in this episode.
Like I fully thought, okay, like if I was writing it and that's what I wanted to do, when she pulled the shotgun and shot him in the leg, I would have went to black and then come back up to her like 5 years ago.
Well, we
And
got
then
that
show
at the
her
beginning.
trying to track him down, like go through the
Yeah.
process of figuring out where he is and how much time it actually took them to do it.
Yeah.
That would have been good for at least 3 or 4 episodes.
So I think we'll probably still get some of that because I do know that even though can't even say it. Even though Joel is dead,
Can't even say words.
I don't think Pedro's time on the show is over yet because there were scenes that they showed in the promos, before the season started, and just different little clips that we've seen where like there's a scene with him and the therapist in a cafe having coffee. There's a scene with him and Ellie having a confrontation. So I don't think we're done seeing him yet. We just know that present day Joel is gone. So
Yeah.
let me tell you, I can't even. Once my mind wrapped itself around the fact that this was actually happening, this is one of the few times that although I was devastated, I could not cry. I just sat there watching the screen like you fucking bitch. I mean, that's all I could do. I couldn't even cry because it's like I've known that this was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen in season 2 because that's all the gamers talk about is
Mhm.
the whole thing with Abby and Joel. And yeah, oh yeah, she becomes a playable character because and she kills Joel. I was like, who the hell asked for that? But I was like, okay, it's an interesting twist. It's the net start. I felt a lot of Game of Thrones vibes with this episode, a lot.
Mhm.
But I just,
But you become Abby, and Ellie is the monster.
you know what? Okay, I,
And that
so
and
this is
that
the
that is that's the thing about being Abby. You have this thing you don't really know what's happening that's looming over you. You have no idea you're being
yeah,
stalked.
yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah. I've heard about that, and I will say this: if I take a step back, if I take my emotion out of it, if I take the fact that I have been watching Joel's journey, for the whole season and 2 episodes that he was there, I could probably say, okay, I could understand what Abby did. I really could. That was your dad that he gunned down. And you still don't, I mean, I guess the thing is, you still don't know why he fucking did it. And I
No.
understand you don't care, it doesn't matter to you. But just like you were coming to get vengeance for your dad, he was doing that for his surrogate child. And I was like,
Yeah, but the thing is, after you saw that town, after you saw how many people were there, you think they were just gonna let that slide? You know what I'm saying? Like violence begets violence.
no, I know.
Revenge is like digging your own grave.
Oh, and then she about to have not only you think Tommy not about to come after this bitch that killed his
I know.
brother.
And that's the thing we sometimes overlook the fact that remember when he said he and his brother used to do
Used to
some
do terrible things.
used to do some
You
things.
you really look, which Kraken are you talking about in your screen name? Because I
Both
can
of
think
them.
of two.
Both of them.
And I have a feeling Maria's gonna try to talk him down, but no boo
She's
boo.
not gonna be able to.
That's my big brother. And the fact that they're dragging him back and he's not even gonna be recognizable because of what she did to his face. Nah, ain't no. Mm-mm.
Yeah. But I do like how, well, like I do see why the showrunners did it his body like that. So there will be no question. Like if they just left it at the thing sticking out of his neck, well, maybe she saved him. Maybe he might be a chance he's still alive. Nope, he's gone.
Yeah,
He gone. But
they showed us the body.
he gone. He's wrapped
They
up,
they
being
showed us
drugged
the
back.
body, and
He's
you
gone.
see the
Where the blood
they
is.
took care of the head so that
Yeah.
he nothing could, because of course they already know they're about to go back to a town that's probably not the way that they left it because of all the fire and stuff, because the okay, the
Yeah.
other crazy part of this episode, like you couldn't just kill the man and let us deal with the piece. You had to have us stress the whole fucking episode, because I thought Tommy was gonna get it in this episode, and
Maria,
then I was,
everybody.
for some reason I wasn't too much worried about Maria, especially
I
after Tommy distracted the bloater. I said,
After after all that crap happening,
I
nobody was
wasn't I
safe.
wasn't too much worried about her. I
Uh,
think the emotional impact would really be if something happened to Tommy, which Tommy was like this close,
Several times. I
this
was worried about
close.
Seth.
I mean, that bloater was right in front of him, about to swipe down, and then
No,
died. Like, oh,
what
you
was
lucky motherfucker.
what was interesting was the other flamethrower guys. I was like, are they running away?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yes,
And
they
he
did.
stood there, and
They
he stood
did.
there like, I'm gonna do this. And
They did.
those motherfuckers ran. I
But
don't
I mean,
think.
I can't say I blame them, because when you see that coming at you, especially if you weren't on the wall and saw what it was,
Mhm.
because if I had been on that wall, I'd have been shitting myself. I'm not lying, because you, you hear them talk at the beginning of this episode, in the last episode, they've had clickers getting closer to the town. They talked about it earlier in this episode. They were like, yeah, so we found some dead clickers in the snow, and then a group of 30 of them came from up under them. They were using the dead ones for insulation. I was like, oh, y'all about to give us some shit in this episode. Again, I wasn't expecting it so soon. I was not expecting what came out of the ground the way that it did. And I was like, episode 5 last season,
Mhm.
they got me with that one. I should have known they were going to be on some bullshit with this one too.
I was thinking they were prepared for a large group of clickers. They weren't prepared for a horde.
That was an army. That was an
That
army.
was a horde. That was a lot. They were
Mm-hmm.
not prepared for that. If it
Mm.
was like 150, 200, they would have been all right. But I swear it had to be 1,000
It had to be.
easily.
I mean, Jesse kind of said it earlier in the episode, and we kind of took it as a joke, like, ha ha, Ellie did too. But then when you see them coming out of the ground, like it's playing in the background now, Abby just came to, and also, all of this is your fault. All of this is your fault. You should have stayed your ass put. But you want to go try to be whatever it is. You see
Um,
these two people, you see these two people on patrol. You don't even know who these people are. It just so happened to be Joel. But even with that, um,
I don't know because it happened the same time the dude cracked another one of those pipes,
but see,
and
that's
he
why they
and he
started
pulled
turning
out,
away.
and yeah, and he pulled
Mm-hmm.
out the thing. But I think they would have come out of the ground even when he did that.
You think? Yeah, they
Yeah,
would have. Yeah, but
I think they were going to come out of the ground anyway
yeah, but
because he did not. It wasn't like because last time they cracked him open, they didn't mess with it. This time he dug in and started trying to pull it and was pulling it out.
because I don't think when they cracked it the first time, I don't think the tendrils were there initially. I think, kind of like you said, it's
They were
like
because they were because they moved around and went back in
that was at night though. They cracked the pipe earlier in the day.
early in the day. Yeah,
Yeah, so I
yeah.
think the tendrils probably made their way out to where we saw them that night, but they weren't there that day, because if the tendrils had been in that pipe that day,
Third day. Yeah.
they would not have had no New Year's Eve celebration. I guarantee you
No,
that.
no.
They would
You're
have
right.
been they would have been dealing with different type of fireworks, like
You're
those
right.
gas barrels, which I was laughing when the gas barrels came, because I was like, I hit Anthony in my head, where the hell they get all that gas? Because that was a lot of gas.
That was my
If
first
that
thought.
was gas, if it was gas, it could have been some other flammable liquid. I mean, we don't know, but
Okay. Yeah, it could have been bacon grease. All the bacon grease they had saved up.
I
Yeah.
mean, it could be
It
something.
could be.
But yeah, it was like when we see the start of the episode, and you kind of get the idea that this was somebody close, because I think in the last episode I was thinking that her connection was to Marlene, because Marlene was the prominent person in the Firefly, so I just automatically assumed, oh, there might have been a mother figure, or depending on how, could have been a lover. I mean, in this kind of environment, you might see a little more May December romance type thing. I was like, okay, that must be what it is. I didn't even think about the fact that the doctor could have been related to her,
Mm-hmm.
but it does explain some of the conversation they had back at the graves when they were like, even if it was true about Ellie, they was like, there's nothing we can do about it now, since, and she was like, don't. It makes more sense now because she don't want to hear about her dad being dead, like she sees the evidence right there. But when when they wake up and they see the town, because when we saw them in the last episode, it was nighttime. They just saw a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of the lights. They just thought, oh, okay, maybe a few tents or whatever. They wake up and they see it's a whole fucking city down there. They have to start rethinking what they're gonna do, to the point where the guy, I can't think of his name, but he's like, he tells the other ones, he's like, yeah, my plan is to convince her to let this go. And I was like, dude, that's not about to
That's
happen.
not gonna happen.
That's not about to happen. She might rethink some things because, like they said, they're looking at the town with the binoculars and they're like, oh, they have fences, they have guard towers, they only have four ways out, and all of them are blocked. I mean, all of them are guarded. They have
Yeah,
dogs, they have all of this, they got
yeah, yeah.
military people. Like, there's nothing you for. I don't care how much militia training the five of you have, you are not going to take that whole town.
Right, but if they had scouted just a little bit more and paid
Mhm.
attention, they have a pretty much an open door policy.
They could have, yeah.
They could have just went down there and he'd be like, "Hey, we didn't know you guys were here." They would have
Yeah.
taken them in. They just saw them as like, "Oh, y'all have some training.
And
We
that's
y'all
what
come
I
join
thought was going
us."
to
And
happen.
I was like, "Yeah, that's an easy plan. Figure out who everybody is, find out who Joel is, take a patrol with them."
But the sad thing is, Joe walked right into her,
He
like,
did. Yeah.
even saved her,
Hmm.
because she was about to get got.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
and spoiler for those of us who haven't played the game, and you're not going to play the game. In the game, it was him and Tommy were partnered up,
mm,
so it was
okay,
Tommy that was with him,
okay, yeah, and I think
and
I did read something about that, because they were like, they liked the fact that they changed it up between Tommy and Dina, so that
hmm
Tommy was at the town and he was having his big hero moment there.
hmm
I was like, yeah, I kind of like that better.
well, the main problem the players of the game had is that when they were in the cabin, he and Tommy called each other by their names,
Hmm.
and that's how she knew it was Joe.
Uh,
But knowing the two of them and having done what they've done, it's more likely they wouldn't have used their real names in
yeah,
front of people they didn't know.
yeah, yeah.
So
And
that's
I,
why I think, and that was one of the other reasons why they made the change to Dina, because she was yelling his name out. He didn't know he had someone with her.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So Abby overheard his name as opposed to Tommy just saying the name out loud.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I thought about that too, like towards the end, once Ellie finds them in the lodge and she comes in, guns blazing, and she gets taken down and she's sitting there looking at what they've done to him, and she kind of realizes what they're going to do to him. She's sitting there telling him, get up, Joel, get up, Joel, get up. And there was a part of me that really wanted, because at this point, Joel and Ellie are still estranged. This is literally New Year's Day. This is the day after the whole party, the little fight, the argument that they got into. This is the next day. So they're still estranged. There
I
was,
don't, well, we're going to talk about that. I don't think so
I,
anymore.
I think they were, but I think
because
what she was
because
doing.
he strung the guitar back. He put it back in her room. He told them not to wake her up so she
Mm-hmm,
gets some rest.
mm-hmm.
And the first thing she said was, "I want to go on patrol with Joel." And then whatchamacallit, he said something about it, and she was like, "No, Joel is Joel, and I'm me. And what y'all see on the outside is not necessarily what's going on between us."
I think
So
she
I
was
don't
saying
think
that so that Jesse would get off her ass about it,
I
because
don't
I
know
don't.
because I
It's the next day. They literally have not had time to make up because
yeah, but we have to
Jesse
we
mentions,
also but we also have to understand how the dynamics of the relationship, right? He ain't that emotional of a person who is when it comes to expressing outward emotions. He's good at showing. His love language is acts of service.
well,
So
what we saw was that she went to her garage angry at him still. And that's the last
right,
thing we see with them together.
right. But the first
Um,
thing she asked for, I want to go on patrol with Joel.
I think she was trying to get away from Jesse because she was feeling
Mhm.
awkward because she kissed Jesse's ex-girlfriend.
No, because what she says after that is all related to her and Joel and what's going on with them, and she was like very serious about it. That didn't look like something she was making up.
And no, and I get that. And I do believe that part of her does believe that, like, okay, you know what? He's him and I'm me. And I mean, Joel even said the same thing in the first episode when he was talking. I forgot who he was talking to. I think he was talking to Dina. It's like she's her and I'm me, and we'll figure this out. It's almost like if you, I mean, you're a parent, there are times when your children are mad at you and they don't want to talk to you or whatever. And it's kind of like, okay, I don't want to talk to you. I'm mad at you. I don't want to have anything to do with you. But that doesn't mean that anybody else can comment on that situation. That doesn't mean that they can be like, "Oh, what's going on with y'all?" And stuff. No, stay the fuck out of our business. We got this. However we handle it, we're gonna handle that. But that's not for y'all to know. And that's the way I took that. She was like, "Look, my relationship with him is complicated, but we're good." And then when Jesse kept pushing, he was like, "So y'all made up or whatever it was." And she just kind of looked at him like, "Get out my business," because it's
Mhm.
really nobody else's business in the town what the situation is with them. And I'm gonna say this too: I do believe that she knows what he did to the fireflies. And I say that because during the course of this episode, there's a snowstorm that comes in and they have to go take shelter in one of the stores in the town that they're patrolling. And it turns out that store is Eugene's store, the therapist's husband. And we do find out a little bit about what happened to him in this particular episode. He apparently got bit, turned or started to turn, and Joel had to put him down. Jesse is making that comment, talking to Ellie, and he was like, "Man, that's messed up. You go fight in Vietnam, you fight a whole war, and then you die from something like this. But it couldn't be helped." And the look on Ellie's face, and she was just like, "Yep." And I was like, she knows what Joel did.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, in the game, he tells her what he eventually comes clean and
Mm.
tells her.
So we'll probably see
So
that
we'll
in a
probably
in a
see in the
future,
flashback.
yeah, in a future episode. That's why I was like, I don't think he's done. But I was just like, there was a moment in that scene where she's watching him about to die, and I just wanted something between the two of them. Like, I don't know, like me, I'm like the sappy romantic. I need to have like closure and all this other stuff. Like, I wanted her to maybe call him dad one time. I wanted him to kind of just be like, Ellie, or just say her name. And then I thought about it. I was like, if the fireflies heard him say her name, they will understand why he did what he did. And then also they would probably understand why he ain't said nothing, because he could have easily defended himself when Abby was asking all the questions. And he just sat there like, okay, you're going to kill me. It's not going to matter what I say. But
Yeah,
if they had said anything other than what was said with her calling him out, I feel like if Abby would have known who Ellie was, if she had realized that connection, she would have transferred her anger onto Ellie too and been like, "You're the whole reason all of this started. If you hadn't have been there, then he wouldn't have come after you. My dad would still be alive." And I was like, yeah, no, she will probably kill Ellie first and make Joel watch it before she kills him. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm not gonna get my daddy daughter moment, but I really wanted something like that.
Yeah, no, no. And I will say this, Joel isn't stupid.
Yeah.
He saw, he knew from the jump that look in her face, the look in her eyes. He knew. He was like, no matter what I say, no matter what I do, she's going to kill me.
Especially given the
So
fact that half of the people in the room were looking uncomfortable with what she was doing.
yeah,
He was like, "Yeah, she about to kill me."
yeah. He knew. He that's why he was like, she was going in her speech, she was like, just shut up and get it over with.
Right. Because at that point, I was like, look, have you not heard of monologuing and why that's a bad thing?" I mean, I didn't think he was going to get up and do anything because he really was. I think at that point, he had already resigned himself to die because if he didn't, I mean, he had Dina there with him. They had already knocked her out, put her to sleep. So I think he was thinking more or less what they would do to her if he did
Mhm.
anything. And I think at that point, he was just kind of like, okay, this is it.
No, he knew
Yeah.
no matter what, he was
Yeah.
going to die.
I do feel like,
And he knew that they were not going to do anything to Dina because they put her out. They didn't
mm,
kill her or anything. They just put her out, and he knew that that was just a threat.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
he
But
knew that he was going to die.
I do think though that he was conscious enough towards the end. I'm pretty sure he probably, if anything about that whole situation pissed him off, because I think Joe has probably known, okay, something is gonna come from this. Like you can't slaughter people like that and just get away with it. I think he always knew something was gonna come for him. I think he would have been pissed off about the fact that Ellie ended up showing up and she had to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the last thing he thought. Like, I don't want this for her, but there was nothing he could do. Because I mean,
No.
she beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
She made good on her promise to kill him slow. But that's
Yeah.
okay, because I think Ellie, when she gets to her, she gonna be worse. And I'm so sorry. I'm waiting for it to happen. I'm like, because I don't want to say she's a villain, she's a bad guy, or even Joel is a bad guy. Like in this type of world, we talk about this all the time with Walking Dead, and we've talked about it with this show, and just kind of all of this dystopian or end of the world thing. You don't have your good people, you don't have your bad people. Everybody in this type of situation is going to be have questionable morals because what else can you do in this type of world? It is a kill or be killed type of world. But it's like you add on the fact that one, she killed Joel. Two, in her quest to try to kill Joel, because I'm pretty sure she went after whoever she saw on patrol, thinking, okay, it's only two people. I can take them. I can do what I said I was going to do early. I can tie them up. I can ask them about Joel, something like that.
Mhm.
Or she could have, if she had really thought about it, the whole pretending thing, she could have been like, I heard my somebody is here in Jackson. My dad's best friend. I mean, she could have played it off like I'm looking for a guy named Joe, blah, blah, blah. She could have done that. But she had to sit there and try to climb down terrain that she was not familiar with in an area she was not familiar with. And what happens? She loses her footing. She slides down the hill into a literal mass graveyard of clickers, frozen in the snow up until they realize that something is moving up there. And the way that snow starts turning and breaking up as they're coming out, I was like, pause. Let me go fix me some coffee. I couldn't, y'all can't be stressing me out like this. And then the night before I went to go see Sinners. So that day I was like, nope, this is too much for me this weekend. It's too much. It's too much. I got too many monsters in my life right now.
Mhm.
I can't do it.
But didn't it feel like um what was that battle with
Mm-hmm.
the
Uh-huh. When Jon Snow and the guys
yeah,
were being when Jon Snow came out the water, he was being chased by the White Walkers. Yes, that's exactly
yeah.
what I thought. exactly what I thought because I was looking at it and I was like, I'm getting some Game of Thrones vibe. That should have told me to expect what happened to Joel. I was like, oh, okay, y'all just doing the whole Game of Thrones things, except we got clickers instead of White Walkers. We have Joel Miller instead of Ned Stark. Just, and somebody asked me that on social media. They was like, how am I supposed to go to work tomorrow feeling like this? I said, can you imagine we used to do this every week? She
Hmm.
was like, what the hell was wrong with I mean,
Okay,
it's such a good episode in a bad way, but it's also a bad episode in a really, really good way.
this is probably the best episode for me of both seasons so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It
explain this to me.
mm-hmm.
Who took the time out? Who took the time out to
Mm-hmm.
convert a 7-Eleven into a greenhouse?
Eugene.
No, Eugene found it. He said me and
Oh,
Eugene found it on a
yeah,
patrol.
you're right. You're right. Could have been somebody who was there
Or
before.
he said Eugene found it on the patrol and then
Yeah.
showed it to me when we were on the patrol.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. I I don't know. Maybe
I mean, I guess you do what you got to do when the world is going to shit.
I
So
mean that's how look, that's how Joel paid for his that's how
is
he paid for
therapy.
his therapy session.
Yeah,
That's why she was like, you think I don't know what this is? And she started telling him all the ins and out because she was aware of what Eugene was doing in that 7-Eleven. Because she was
yeah.
like, yeah, he been doing this since high school. I was like,
Mm.
yeah, I know a few people. But I I still can't believe they didn't even give us half a season.
No,
It's like the first episode, we're gonna set it up, let y'all know, oh, this is what's going on. And then the second episode, we really just gonna smack the shit out of you and then pull the rug up from under you.
yeah, but you know, Pedro Pascal is a busy man. He got
He
a lot of
is.
things going on, and
He is.
you know,
And I
he's
was looking at some of the kind of reaction interviews that they're doing now because because it's kind of out there. And he said, yeah, this was basically, I knew this before I even got the part. Like they were always very upfront about hey, we're getting this from source material from this game, and we are going to stay as true to it as we can in this medium. So he was like, I've always known. It was just the once it got to that point, it was just kind of like, and I'm
mm.
just like,
And but you know they probably couldn't afford him anymore anyway because he's the biggest thing on the cast. So
yeah, but you know what? I would think that when they signed him, they probably put a cap on his salary. Like, okay, we're going to do 2 years. We're going to give you this salary because he was already on his way up. Like, he was shooting up the stratosphere when he got this. He was already doing
well,
Mando.
I'm gonna tell you now, they don't do caps. He had a renegotiate clause in there based on how successful the show was going to be.
Mm,
But if he knew he was going to be out, he made sure to maximize his income
yeah,
from what they had, and they would have had to pay him more,
yeah,
and especially if he was going to be a permanent cast member versus recurring,
yeah,
because you don't get paid as much as a recurring.
yeah.
So
But
so
I,
here
I
now he'll just be recurring, and they don't have to pay him so much, and he can go off and do all the MCU movies he wants to do.
think, it's so funny because I've been seeing people online complaining about the fact that he's doing so much. They're like, Hollywood gets in this thing where they find a favorite and they put them in everything. And I'm like, no, this motherfucker is just that good. He is
Yeah,
just
he's a great
he's
actor.
just that good.
Yeah, he has a lot of
Everybody else
charisma.
need to. Yeah,
Has
everybody
a lot of
needs to step
charisma, man.
up,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. But I read an article about that. That Hollywood always finds like five actors and five actresses that they like,
Mm-hmm.
and that's who you see in everything
Mm-hmm.
until they get replaced by another actor or
That's
actress.
okay because you know what? The fact that he is this buzzed about at 50, that's
Hmm.
that's almost an unheard of thing in Hollywood. You know, it's like, especially because he's been in the business for what, 20 something years, but he's only been like big since Game of Thrones. And that sometimes don't doesn't happen because you know how this whole thing is with older people. I mean, not so much men as it is for women, but still, him being a 50-year-old, you know, they consider 50 over the hill.
Well,
But the
thank
fact
you.
that I'm just saying, I got 2 weeks. I got two
Where,
weeks.
where's Mike at when I need him?
I'm I'm just saying that's what Hollywood does. I'm
Yeah,
not saying it's right because when you take all of this gray out of Joel Miller's head and you look at Pedro Pascal, you're not gonna look at him and think he's 50.
no.
So, but yeah, I just when I say this episode hurt my heart so much, like I know we had a whole other thing going on. I don't even know if I have the energy to talk about it. It just
It was a very emotionally draining episode. I mean, there was a lot going on, a lot of roller coaster ups and downs. I literally was holding my breath during the horde attack.
yeah.
Like I was like,
I
I'm
was
holding my breath.
tense. I was
Yes, I was
tensed up on
tensed
the
up.
couch. And
Hmm.
even with watching Abby and Joel, that whole dialogue where she starts telling him about, you know, the fireflies and, oh, do you know how many people you killed? Did you count them as they, you know, as they fell or whatever? You killed 18 people and one doctor. And then when she said doctor, his eyes kind of moved. She was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you guessed it. That was my dad. I was like, yeah, that was Joel saying, fuck, I'm definitely not getting out of here. Like, but just that whole conversation, because I know a lot of people complained about her casting because they didn't feel like she was big enough like the video game character. And they was like, what's this little girl gonna do? I'm sorry, she was scarier in this scene than any big person
Hmm.
would have been to me because she had the she had the calmness. Like she has had 5 years to stew over this. And even when she realized it was him and she went to grab for her knife and she looked at him and he had the gun, you could tell she was sitting there calculating. And she
Yeah,
was thinking, okay, hey, we can go back to the lodge. That's where my friends are because she knew this is a man who took out 19 people by himself. your five your little 5 years of militia training ain't gonna do shit against that. This man has
no,
been doing this for 20, 30 years, you know, because he was in the military before all of this stuff happened.
yeah,
So she was smart. She was like, yeah, um you need some shelter. It's cold out here. We're in a lodge. And when he asked, do y'all have weapons? Yes, we have weapons. We can fight. You know, she's trying to make it seem like, yeah, we're going to help you. But she was calculating. She was like, yeah, uh, 5 of us can take him better than just one of me because she doesn't have the size on him. You know, she probably doesn't have the strength. I'm not saying she's not strong, but she's not, I've been in a war and I've been doing this shit for a long time type of, you know, strength.
yeah,
She played it smart. She played it smart. She damaged him so he couldn't do anything. And then she said her piece. And I
yeah,
really think she was trying to get a rise out of him. But like you said, he realized he was going to die. Why is he going to give her the satisfaction?
yeah,
You know, I think if there had been a little compassion in there instead of the cruelty, I think he would have been like, you know what? I'm sorry. I had to go save my kid. I
Yeah.
think he would have said something that kind of, diffused a little bit of the situation. But at this point, the way she's
That
being cruel,
no,
he was
she
like, yeah,
mm-mm.
mm-mm.
her
I'm,
her
I'm not giving
pen
her
was
nothing.
her pen was pulled. She
Mm-hmm.
was going to explode. You
Yeah.
couldn't put that pen back in that grenade.
Yeah.
And
So
he knew
he's
that.
like, why? What's the
Why
point?
why say anything? Why try to defend myself? Why try to justify it? She has already made up her mind. And like I said, he's probably seen that look 1,000 times. He knows.
Yeah.
Um about her size, because she's like 5'2". She's little.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I did hear about the things because in the game, her character is very strong and
Mm-hmm.
sort of a big person. And if I think what they kind of did was since you couldn't play as Joel anymore,
Mm-hmm.
they replaced him with her
Okay.
because she does a lot of the same actions that Joel does, like moving things around, beating people up, as opposed to, Ellie, you having to sneak around and shoot
Mm-hmm.
people from a distance with a rifle or sneak up on them and stab them in the neck. He was Abby was more like him in that
Face
style
to
of play.
face
Yeah.
combat type thing.
Yeah. And that was I think that was really for the game designers to give you that same feel that you had in the first game
Mm-hmm.
when you're going back and forth between Ellie and Joel. Here you're
Okay.
going back and forth between Ellie and Abby, and it was going to give you that same because you don't want them switching to another character, and that character plays the same as the other character.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it was sometimes people can be the engineers of their own demise when it comes to adaptations,
Yeah.
and they want it to be exactly like the thing that they played, and it's just not. It's sometimes it's not possible, and sometimes they do make the decisions. I mean, on here we talk about decisions and adaptations that screw things up that don't make any sense.
Right.
But here they made some decisions that made sense. They
Mm-hmm.
made some choices and changes that kind of work, I think.
Yeah.
Um, I because Tommy didn't need to be with Joel. It was better that it was Dina,
Yeah.
and getting to know more about Abby because in the game you don't really know why she's doing it. You
Mm-hmm.
find out way later, but here they kind of give you it in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like the whole scene of the cemetery. They kind of give you something to hold on to. I don't want to say make her sympathetic, but to kind of give you an idea to understand why. Because in the video game, you have no clue
Yeah.
why.
Yeah.
She doesn't give you any information.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
You know, so that choice makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
And one other thing I want to talk about was I can't remember if it was one of the writers or creators, but they had said that they thought Joel made the right decision at the end of season one or at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the first game. But then recently that person switched.
Uh-huh. She's about to kill him in the background. I don't want to see it again.
The but recently I think that person switched and was like, yeah, they don't think Joel made the right decision. I don't know if there was a right decision to be made.
Yeah, I think we've said that too
Yeah,
because
and I don't think there was a right decision to be made in that instance.
yeah,
Nobody had enough information about anything to make any informed consent decision about anything.
yeah,
So at that point, you do what you think is right, and he
yeah,
did what he thought it was right.
yeah. And then
He's
also
taught,
too, looking at it from the perspective of a parent, I'm sorry. I'm gonna save my kid. The whole world can burn.
yeah.
I'm
Well, when you
just
find out they don't really know what the fuck they're doing,
well, that and that
that that would,
too.
that would, that would
But
be
even
like that's a
without all of
waste.
that, I'm supposed to just let my kid be killed so everybody why? Why? I just
You sound like Michelle when she talks about Cabin in the Woods and how at
oh,
the end they made the decision to let the world burn as opposed to sacrificing themselves.
right. Because here's the thing. So you sacrifice whatever for the rest of the world. Okay. the rest of the world is going to go on the way the rest of the world does. You're still going to have people killing each other. You're going to have people hurting each other. You're going to have people who are being unkind, people who are doing this. And it's like, I let my kid die for this? No, absolutely not. Oh my God. Okay. I'm not, you know what? I just got to turn this off because she just crawled over to him. And when I say her crawling over to him because asshole Danny Ramirez and kicked her in the stomach. I was like, why y'all gotta have him be an asshole in this show? That's okay. But her crawling over to him, I think, in a sense, I think that hurt me more than seeing Abby drive the the golf, you know, cue into his
The
neck.
broken golf club.
Yeah. Because it's like
Which,
at that point, you kind of want her to put him out of his misery. And you already know she's about to do it. If it wasn't for her friend, she probably would have tortured him some more. She would have beat on him some more. And it's kind of like, okay, at some point, you're literally beating a dead horse. Just let it go. Go ahead and kill him. That crawl over to him, her having to pull the club out of his, I was like, fuck y'all, and fuck y'all.
I just want to say the sound editing was really good in this episode. Um,
I did not need to
when
hear all of this.
no, when that moment when Abby drives the golf club or stakes him with the golf club, and the sound just drops out, and all you get is a muffled scream for Ellie because that's like her world has ended,
Mm-hmm.
and they have awakened the Kraken. Can you
Listen,
imagine her and Tommy coming after Abby? That I'm counting. Okay, that's gonna be one episode. That person's gonna be one episode. Because remember last year someone died at the end of every
oh
episode.
yeah, mm-hmm.
I feel like that's what's gonna happen to this crew. They might as well title the episode with that person's name
Yeah.
because that's what's gonna happen.
And it's gonna be sad because the two girls, what's her Mel and I can't remember the other girl's name, Tati Gabriella's character, they really didn't want Abby to do all of that. They were just kind of like, okay, just kill Joel and move on. Like, we have been following you around for 5 years. We tired. We want to go home. We don't want to be in this cold in these mountains with this storm. We just want to go back. We don't want to do all of this. And you saw when she was beating Joel in the face, Mel was over there crying
Mm-hmm.
because Mel is like, I know I said we'd help you kill him, but this is not what I signed up for.
Mm. You go ahead. I'm taking bets on who goes first. Mel gonna be first. She's the weakest.
So,
Oh God, it's gonna be it's gonna be good.
so
I'm
I don't
really
know. I kind of think the other girl is gonna be first, and I because she didn't really do anything in this episode. Well,
mm,
she took Dina's guns, she took Joel's guns, and I love Tati Gabrielle. I love her in everything else I've seen her in. So I'm looking at her in this episode, and I'm like, they really just wasting her like this. Like she barely has no lines because she was in the 100. I've seen her
mhm.
do fight choreography.
You
Y'all
probably
got
gonna
her
see it
sitting.
again. She in it for a reason. You'll
Yeah, I
see
know.
it again.
So I don't know. I think if we're gonna take bets, yeah, you're probably right. I think it's gonna be Mel. Then I think it's gonna be Tati's character. I think um Danny Ramirez's character because you know, he was the one that assaulted Ellie. She
Mhm,
gonna come after him. And then the other dude, just because he seems to be the closest to her, to
mhm,
Abby. And I don't know. I have a feeling his death is gonna be slow.
mhm,
And I have a feeling Abby's gonna be forced to watch.
mm.
Because again, whatever you felt when your father died, you are she was the same age that Ellie is now, 19.
19. Yep.
So now you're putting someone else through what you went through. You don't think she's going to come back with that same vengeance? At least when he killed your father, he killed him in one shot, quick, clean, put him out of his misery.
Yeah. And at this
You
point,
chose bad easy.
Ellie doesn't know why you killed her, why you killed him. That's the
She,
same.
no, I think she can probably guess. She can probably guess.
Well,
Especially if
guessing
because
and knowing are two different things.
Abby had on the firefly necklace and
Oh, she did?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And she turned around to look at Ellie. Like, yeah, I want you to see my face. It's almost like a challenge. Like, yeah, I just killed him. I know you over here crying for him and you calling out for him. Yeah, I just killed him. And I want you to see that I killed him.
And she told her, I'm gonna kill you.
Oh, and you best believe she gonna be good on that promise.
You're all gonna die.
You're all going to die. But yeah, I think if Joel has already had that conversation with Ellie, then she probably did figure out, okay, this is probably why. But it's kind of like she'll probably think it's been 5 years. But then again, we about to see how long it's going to take her to find them. Because she doesn't really know who they are, where they come from. Now, Dina, I do know that in the promo for the next episode, Dina is going to be like, yeah, I got their names, and I know, she's gonna be able to recognize that symbol that Mel had on her bag. But yeah, you already told this girl what your names are. You introduced yourselves to them before you told everyone that the guy was Joel. So yeah, of course Dina's paying attention, especially because she had a gun to her head. She's like, oh, let me remember some shit. But okay, we're gonna get off this depressing topic. Let's go to the other depressing topic. Let's talk about these clickers in the town because I will say, very impressed with the way that they defended themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They,
Very medieval. Very,
it is, but I mean, you kind of have to be in this type of
mm-hmm.
environment. But the fact that they were all, for the most part, on one accord. Everybody did what they had to do. You didn't have any stray children running around trying to do stuff. You didn't have anybody doing anything stupid. And I liked that. I was like, all the children, all the old people, they went to the basements, they went to the cellars, they hid like they were supposed to.
They had a
Everybody who was,
plan.
yeah, everybody
Yep.
who was supposed to be on the roof went to the roof. They had their guns, they had their weapons. You had the people who were on the wall, you had the people who were loading up the barrels. Like they had that shit pat, and that's probably why they've stood for 20 years because they weren't playing. They were like, okay, look, if we're gonna stay safe, we have to work together as a community,
Yep.
and that's what
Oh,
they did.
and who came in clutch at the end? The dogs. The dogs. They knew
Yeah,
exactly what to do,
I was like,
and
okay,
they
so
had
the
the whole
animals
bunch
don't
of
get
them.
the cordyceps. Cool. She went in there and got those dogs. Those dogs were barking. They was like, let us out, let us out.
Mhm. They knew
Listen,
exactly what to do.
they did, and it's so funny because one of the clickers, I don't know if they didn't catch it in editing, but one of the clickers, you can hear him when the dog comes to him. He says dog real quick. And I was like, did he say that? So somebody didn't edit that out very well. But yeah, I mean, even the dogs did what they were supposed to do. I like that. And it's
Mhm.
like nobody was getting killed up until they busted through. But the fact that they were hiding under the dead bodies, the fact that once they realized they weren't getting through one way, they just all turned tail and went around. And Tommy was looking at them like, the
They're
oh
about to breach.
shit. Yeah. He was like, because all of them were at the front gate. Nobody, I don't think anybody was on the surrounding gates because
Hmm.
they were all coming from. I mean, when you look out and you see these hundreds, maybe thousand clickers, you're not thinking about the back door. You really aren't, because you're like, if they get through here, it don't matter who's at the back door.
Yeah. And well, had they not had the bloater breaking the wall down, that thing was armored because they were shooting it,
This fucking
and
bloater. He was
and
getting
the
ready to
bullets
go
were
after
different.
Maria because she was shooting at him. She was shooting
Mhm.
him dead in the head, and he's looking at her like, "Oh, okay, I'm coming to get you." And that's when Tommy was like, "Hey, over here." But I was like, "Where y'all, baby?" Because I didn't see him in the
He was in
basement.
the basement. He was in somebody's basement.
Okay, but yeah, I was very impressed with the way that town handled it. And as you can see, the town is still standing at the end. There's a lot of dead clickers in the street, a lot of dead people as well. But for the most part, most of their town is still intact. I think there were
Yeah.
maybe a couple of buildings that were on fire, probably from the flamethrowers. Could have been from the two flamethrowers that retreated. And if so, I hope y'all dead.
One
Cowards.
of, one of them was Seth, because I don't think Seth hung around, did he? But anyway, um, yeah, and then them walking around shooting people in the head who had gotten bitten. That
Yeah.
had to be hard too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Joel set the standard. He killed Eugene.
Yeah. And we don't even know how bad Eugene got,
Mm-mm.
because from the way his wife talks, when they're like, when she said, it's not that you had to do it. I understand you had to do it. It's how you did it. I was like, ooh, did he have to get like ultra violent in order
Or
to put him down?
he could have shot him right after he got bitten.
Mm.
Because sometimes it can take up to 24 hours, and sometimes it's quick.
Yeah, but who's about to take that chance? Like,
Joel
who's
is not.
like exactly.
Because he saw how
Exactly.
fast, was it Tess? How
Hmm.
fast she changed.
Yeah. And he at I think at that point he was even going to try to be like, well, maybe. And Tess was like, if you don't get the fuck out of here, she was like,
Mm-hmm.
I already feel what it's doing to me. Yeah, Joe was like, we're not going to do this again.
No, not at all.
But I, let me tell you, this episode from start to finish, I was sitting on the edge of the couch. I was sitting there with my hands like this at one point. Then, like I said, I had to pause at one point because I was like, I can't, there's too many clickers. Like I got goosebumps now just talking about them, because once, especially when you do like the sky shot, when you're doing a drone shot and you see all of them kind of running like ants, it
Mm-hmm.
just feels like something is crawling on your skin. I was like, no, I can't do it. I can't. I was like, okay, it's gonna take me 2 hours to watch this episode. And like I said, I went to go see Sinners the night before. So I got vampires in my mind on one end, then I got clickers on my mind in the other end. I was like, you know what? There's a reason why I stay away from horror as much as I do. Or as much as I did, but it's like
No, okay,
now
come on now. We are not gonna have this conversation again
I'm just saying
about you
I
and
don't
horror.
watch horror as much as I used to. And I remember why, because now I'm gonna sit here and think like I didn't sleep last night, not because of this, just because I suffer from insomnia. So I
Mhm.
literally got about 15 minutes of sleep last night. But every time I closed my eyes last night, I was either replaying the movie or I was replaying the show. And I was like, you know what? This is not good for my health, right? Can I listen to something that's going to take? No, it was still there playing. And I was just like, his prosthetic makeup was so good, because I was like, did y'all really hurt my baby's face? And Abby even said, yeah, you are kind of handsome, or you are handsome. And I feel like that's why she hit him in the face so much too. She was like, yeah, you're a good looking guy. Let me just Let me fuck your face up so nobody can recognize you once you die. I when when Ellie gets to her, I'm just I'm waiting for it. But I want it, I hate to say it. I want it to be just as slow as it was when she killed Joel. Because and the same with the friends too, because the friends could have put him out of his misery. They could have, I think if they had tried, they could have handled Abby. They could have been like, okay, you know what, you've done enough. If you're not gonna kill him, just leave it alone.
Nah, you stay out of it. Let her get it out of her system.
Mm,
Because then you got to be around here. You got to hear her. You got to hear her talk about it.
I know.
You didn't let me do this. You didn't let me do that. If you had just let me do this, that's not complete. But I didn't get my sense. Nah, let her just go. Just leave her alone. And then be like, okay, you may want to try to wrap this up pretty soon because we don't want to have the whole town on top of us.
Right, because I'm like, okay, so you came across these two. We just had this one
Because they're
other
gonna come
person
looking for
show
their
up.
patrols. They're gonna come
Right,
looking for their patrols.
right. Well, I guess I guess they actually looked at what was going on in town. They were like, no, I think they're a little busy right now.
Right now,
Especially, yeah.
but at some point, you might need to, those clickers could turn around and come back up the mountain.
But see,
You
that's the
might want to
thing.
be
The
out of
other
there.
friends didn't even know about the clickers. Abby is
She
the only one
did.
that knows about the
Yeah, she
clickers.
did. That's right.
So I was just like I said, I don't think he's gone completely because I do believe they're going to show us some flashbacks on some stuff, but the fact that he is dead and Ellie had to watch, that's just I swear HBO be doing some shit.
Mm,
I don't even know if there's anything else to say.
there isn't. They're looking forward to this season. I mean,
Yeah. Because if
it's gonna
y'all
be,
like this coming out the gate,
yeah,
like I said, this is episode 2. They have what, 8 episodes in this season?
yeah. But the fact that Ellie said you all are gonna die, I'm sure Tommy's gonna get a couple of them, and they're gonna die some brutal deaths
Mm-hmm.
because they're gonna be wanting information about Abby.
And
And that,
Dina will probably join in
oh, she'll be in on it too.
because she was there. They knocked
Hmm.
her out. Jesse was crying on his horse when they were,
He
you know,
he
going.
might be there too.
He might be there too. He might be like, okay, you know what?
And Maria's gonna be like, y'all can't do this. We gotta let it go. And they're gonna look at her like, especially
They're like, excuse
because
me, come here for a
Tom,
second. Let me show you my brother's face and what this bitch
yeah,
did to him.
Tommy and Ellie are gonna go no matter what anybody says, and nobody better get in their way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Nobody.
Tommy is like, this is my big brother. My big brother.
But you know what though? They may make a change. I mean, they may not because he does have a kid. And I can really see Joel telling him stay with your kid. Now he would tell Ellie, "You do what you got to do,"
Here's the
but
thing.
Joel, like he would tell
You
Tom, "You got to stay with your kid."
do you think Tommy does not know what Joel did to save Ellie?
He told him, right? Yeah, he
I'm
told him.
sure he did. No, we haven't seen him tell him, but I'm sure he told his brother.
Mhm.
So yeah, and that's probably one of the reasons why Tommy was like, we don't talk about that. We don't
Yeah,
talk about the fact that you have we don't talk about that. Nah, because there are enough people in that town who remember when Joel and Ellie came through the first time. And that, oh, well, we have to leave. We gotta go do something. Somebody gonna start asking questions. And no. So I think Tommy knows. So if that's the case, Tommy will probably also figure it out. And Tommy would have in that mindset, like, my brother wouldn't tell me to stay behind and, whatever. Cause yeah, no, you don't. Mm-mm. I mean, I feel like he probably would, but he would understand that Tommy's gonna be like, no, this bitch killed my brother. It's on.
Mm-hmm.
It is on. They got her name, they got all of their names. They have enough information so they can try and figure out what that patch is. Because chances are, Tommy, before he joined Jackson Hole, before he joined that
He was a
community,
firefly.
he was a firefly. He's going to know what that is. He's going to know, okay, this might be a connection. And I know Abby said that all of the fireflies are gone. But y'all got some firefly adjacent people, because other than that, how would you know about this militia camp in Seattle? They were probably training some of the fireflies. So yeah,
Hmm.
I'm just, I mean, at this point, there's really not much else that you can do that will shock me, because killing anybody else other than Ellie or Tommy is just going to be like, okay. If they kill that little boy, I might have an issue. But anybody else is just kind of like, okay, are they dying to go get revenge for Joel? No? Okay, well, you know what? Rest in peace. Keep going.
I think the only thing the show people have in their bag is the escalating brutality of the murders of the
Yeah.
people. That's all they got in their bag. It's
And I
just going
see it
to escalate.
happening. I
It's
see
just
it
going to
happening.
escalate
Mm-hmm. Because
because the
Ellie is
closer
gonna
you,
make sure. Ellie is, I really, really feel like, because already Ellie is, she's not, I don't want to say she's not normal, but you already see what type of personality she has. She's quick at the mouth, she's quick tempered. We saw her basically doing private fight club. You see her in the promo for the next episode, boxing with a lot of anger. It's just going to escalate. Abby does not know what she unleashed.
no, she's
She
unleashed
has,
the Kraken.
I don't even know if that's strong enough a term. She, I just, yeah.
Yeah, because what's going to happen, I think, is the closer she gets to Abby, the more likely the person is going to hold on to information, and the more Ellie's going to have to do to get that information. And
Mm,
if you don't give her the information,
I don't
sucks to
know.
be
Something
you.
tells me Mel would crack. Mel would be
Oh,
like, look,
that's
I'm not
what
going to
she gonna be
die
the
for her.
first. She gonna be the first one to crack and the
I
first one
know.
to die.
Yeah.
Oh, this is gonna be an interesting season. I want to see how creative they're going to be with
Hunting
these
season
deaths.
has begun. I'm just saying, and we saw in the first episode, Tommy has been teaching her to shoot,
Yeah,
and she's a pretty decent, damn good shot.
she is. She is. It reminds me of John Wick. It's gonna be it's gonna be like John Wick.
Yeah, it could be bloody, because she
It's
killed a
gonna be
lot more
bloody.
than her dogs. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's gonna be terrible for them. I really feel bad. Well, I don't feel bad for them, but it is unfortunate for them.
and yeah, I was gonna say, like I
It's more
said,
unfortunate because Abby is the one that put them in that position.
mm-hmm,
You
yeah.
know, they didn't try hard enough to deter her off this path.
And you know what? And I'm gonna say, I can understand them not doing that, because that was her father. I mean, think about it. You're in a post-apocalyptic world with these monsters that go around killing people. It's probably already rare that people are still together from their original families before this whole thing started. So the fact
I
that
understand. I totally understand it, but I'm talking about self-preservation.
Oh, I know. I
You
know.
know,
I'm just
and at
giving her a
least
little,
I know, but I'm just saying at least two or three of them be like, you know what, dog, I'm going to Seattle.
Well, I mean,
I
she went to
understand.
Seattle. They were there for 5 years. She was getting her training because she knew that at
Well,
the time, as a 19-year-old, she was not going to be able to do what she needed to do for Joe. That's why the other dude was trying to tell her, look, the militia may have resources. Yeah, they trained her.
when we woke up that morning and we saw that it was a whole goddamn city of people. Nah, we we good. We going back.
Well, see, that's the thing. They were going to try to talk her back, but Abby kind of went on her own when she saw the patrol. I think if she had gone back like she was actually planning to do, because she was like, it's too cold. Fuck this. I'm going back. And she just happened to hear the horses. And I
I
was
know.
like, damn it, that mountain range and the
I know.
echoing hills.
That's one of those fixed point in times that couldn't change.
Yeah.
It was inevitable.
Yeah, I just thought it was going to be inevitable, like in episode 5 or 6. I didn't think we were going to get it in two. I was not prepared.
And when Ellie is standing over Abby's body, looking down at her, I am inevitable.
Oh, I can't believe she killed. But you know what? I will say this. I am glad they didn't deviate from that because I think it would have had less impact on the story if it had been someone else or if they had changed it to where, it's just kind of like a cat and mouse game and Joel doesn't die. Granted, I don't like to see that he died. I don't. I didn't like it when Glenn died on The Walking Dead or any of those people died on The Walking Dead, but it's kind of like sometimes in this type of environment, you got to have the emotional death, and the only way that it was going to be emotional, it has to be either Joel, Tommy, or Ellie. And I don't know anything about Tommy or Ellie's their fates in the video games, and I don't want to know. I didn't want to know about Joel, but it was out so much. Like when this show was announced, there were so many people who were talking about what happened in the video game, what happened in the video game. Even on my Facebook, I was just kind of like very vague booking,
Mm-hmm.
which if you don't know the history of the show, if you don't know the spoilers, it wouldn't have it wouldn't have triggered you. You wouldn't have known what I was talking about. But there were people who were like, "Yeah, I can't believe she did that. They did that in the game and blah blah blah." And I was like, it hasn't even been 24 hours and people are spoiling. But I mean, that's just kind of the way it is now. If you don't watch it at the first run, you run the risk of being spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Poor Joel. Poor Ellie. Poor Abby, because she about to get it. She about to get it.
Yeah, she has at least the crack.
I don't even know if there's anything left to say about this episode. I don't have anything else to say. Do you?
No, I don't.
So
I don't. Shout out to the actress playing Abby because she's really good.
Caitlin Deaver, yeah.
Yeah, her the way she emotes and the talking and her pacing is excellent. She's a
Mm-hmm.
really good actress. So I think a lot of people are going to forgive them for not having cast a bigger girl, a bigger woman, and
Yeah.
haven't gone with her because she's really good in this role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she is. So a little too good if you ask me. But yeah, I don't have anything else to say. Joel is dead and I'm depressed. So on that note, that is it for our show. You can find us online at www.fandomhybrid.com. We are on social media, on all the social media at Fandom Hybrid. You can chat with us on our Discord channel. You can watch our videos on our YouTube channel. And you can listen to us on all major podcast streaming platforms. Thanks for listening. We hope you join the conversation next time.